Welcome to Hope Natural Health, the podcast inspiring you to be your best version. Join me, your host, Dr. Erin, naturopathic doctor, dog mom, cancer survivor, and girl boss weekly as we discuss all things health, hormones, and happiness with a little side of this thing called life. Welcome, everyone, to this week's episode of Hope Natural Health. I have a very special guest here with me today. This is Grace, and I've known you for, I don't even know, 4 years maybe,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, we met through the firefighter community is how we met and connected, but we have a lot of same interests and health struggles. Not the same health struggles, but we've both had health struggles.
Absolutely.
And that's why I brought Grace on this week so we can talk about her health struggles, because I know that she's not alone. And a lot of my community can feel, what she's going through. So that's why I have her here today. So Grace, welcome. I appreciate you being here. And let's tell everyone who you are and your background and all of the good stuff.
All the good stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, guys. Thanks for letting me join.
Yeah.
I'm super excited. So it's a long story. It's a long one, but I'll try and shorten it up. I grew up pretty skinny, like pretty much my whole life. Really skinny. Didn't really ever feel good. Had aches and pains. And then in high school really is when it started hitting me really hard when I would get sick. So many times. So I would get these weird sicknesses that no one could explain. And, even came up to spots all over my body and meshing together and my blood vessels bursting. It was just weird. Nobody could explain it. And so always had stomach pains and found out I had celiac disease. And so I've had celiac disease. I've been with that for about 11 years is when I was diagnosed, and just been kind of going through that process of healing. And you were a part of that, which was awesome, and still a part of that, which is really important, with celiac disease or any disease you have, you just need to keep it up and keep your health up, right? And so, going back in high school, suffered a lot with stomach pains, went through something kind of traumatic with losing my uncle, and that really just kind of made it so much worse. And it got to a point where I couldn't use the bathroom for 2 months. Okay, I know. We talk about poop all the time, me and you.
Yep.
A lot of people don't want to talk about it.
It's
a real
on the
thing.
podcast we talk about poop, and poop is important. Very,
It is
very important.
So important.
2 months is not okay, people.
It is toxic, okay? So I looked really pregnant. I had gained a bunch of weight. I was from 99 pounds, I went up to 150 pounds or so. That was big for me, I never had that. Love handles, all that. Everyone was like, "Are you pregnant?" I'm like, "No, I'm not. Just can't go to the bathroom." So I stopped eating at that point because I literally couldn't fit any more into my system. And so I was extremely toxic and sick, and ended up dropping, back down to 99 pounds within 2 weeks. And I was going doctor to doctor for about 2 years, and nobody could figure it out. They kept giving me, antacids and, stool softeners and stuff to try and get me to go to the bathroom. Nothing worked. And so they kept telling me it's all in my head. It's all in my head. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, this is not in my head, okay? This is not normal. I'm not supposed to feel in pain all the time. And I'm so young. I was 19 years old at that time. And I had no energy. It affected a lot of things in my life. And finally asked to go to a specialist, a gastroenterologist, and they did an endoscopy and diagnosed me with celiac disease, put me on a gluten-free diet, and was like, all right, well, that should fix that, but there's so much more to it than just a gluten-free diet. And so, that's kind of been my story. And after that, I really felt kind of terrible about my body and about myself. I was really skinny, didn't feel good about how I looked. And so I thought, you know what? my best friend was going to the gym. I'm like, I'm going to join her. And so, little by little, I would try things. And then she would show me these Instagram fitness models and be like, oh, man, you should do a show. Like, you could totally do it. You have, like, that bikini, like, body if you just build it up a little bit. And I'm like, you know what? Okay, fine. I'll do it. So I went to a trainer, and I about threw up the first time. And I was scared, and I'm texting my friends like, I don't know if I can do this, and but they encouraged me, and I said, you know what, I'm just going to take a chance, and I did that. And so ended up competing, trained for 8 months, and won my pro bikini model competition. Yeah. And it was in Las Vegas. It was a world championship. I competed again at the biggest show, and it was just such a cool way to feel like inspired that I had so many people backing me financially. My friends helped me get through it.
So awesome.
But also just to know that I could make it through, with all of the difficulties I had. So now I'm kind of helping other people through that.
Yeah, it's amazing how we go full circle with a diagnosis like that. So for the viewers out there, what in your term, I know what it is and I know I can explain it, but for a non-medical professional, what is celiac disease?
Yeah, celiac disease is basically where when you eat gluten, it kind of burns the lining of your esophagus, your stomach, your intestines. It causes a lot of damage, inflammation within your body. It can affect your hormones, your thyroid, your liver. It can affect really everything because your intestines is everything. It relates, I think it's 80% of your immune system.
Yep, your gut.
Yeah, and so if you're constantly damaging your gut, then you can start to have other problems.
Yeah. So tell a little bit more about, you said you were sick. What besides the rashes and the joint pain, what else would happen?
Huge migraines. I would faint and have seizures sometimes. Really? Yeah. Especially in high school, I fainted and had seizures quite often. I would get very stuffed up in my nose and almost I have this extreme cold. And then it was always those crazy rashes and amount of pain in my legs. So it felt like my legs were going to burst. And my vessels were literally so swollen that they did burst at one point. Yeah. So a lot of different things.
Oh, you've been through a lot.
Yeah.
And there's celiac, which is the autoimmune condition with the gluten intolerance, but there's also non-celiac gluten sensitivity. And so I diagnose people with that all of the time because gluten has a protein in it called gliadin. I don't know if you know the mechanism of why gluten is so toxic to a lot of people, especially those with celiac. But with those without celiac, it's still honestly very, very detrimental to the gut microbiome. But it has a protein in it called gliadin that actually acts like a friggin' woodpecker in your gut. Wow. So even for the person that doesn't have the autoimmune component to that celiac disease, it's still a toxic little devil.
I know.
I tell people all the time, if they just want to start anywhere with their diet, just take gluten out. Do it for 2 weeks.
See how you feel.
Exactly.
Yes.
They're going to guarantee, one patient I had, she took gluten out. She had non-celiac, came up on her food sensitivity crazy. And I told her to take it out, and she did. And she said for the first time in 4 years, she was able to wear her wedding ring that wouldn't fit on her finger because her fingers were so inflamed.
Wow.
So, yeah. And as you mentioned, your gut is everything. It's 80% of your immune system. You make hormone in your gut. And if you don't have a healthy gut, it's going to manifest somewhere else. And for celiac, you're going to have bowel issues and all of this and a lot more, but you could still have normal bowel movements, and then you have the migraines, you have the skin rashes, you have the joint pain, you have all of these things.
All of them.
With it, if your gut's not healthy, and gluten is a huge factor in that. So, it's crazy. When you look back at your diagnosis of, 11 years? 11 years to now, and now, gluten exposure makes you very sick. Yeah. So from 11 years to now, how much easier is it to really avoid the gluten? I know it's still difficult and it's a struggle and it's another full-time job, but it's a little bit easier nowadays, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah. 10 years ago, the food was awful.
Yeah.
I don't know if I just got used to it more
right.
But I think they really did do a good job with introducing so many more options, whether it's, different dairies as well and gluten. They make everything, gluten-free, dairy-free, soy-free, whatever, free. Right. And it tastes good. Like normal
Right.
people eat it. And so, yeah. And then there's also like apps that you can get when I'm traveling. I do Find Me Gluten-Free. So I'm able to, search around, and when I'm on the go, I can just find places nearby. And so restaurants are making it a lot easier.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
The Find Me Gluten-Free, that's an app?
Yeah.
So people can just download that and find gluten-free
Yes, I
options.
rely a lot on that, especially
bet.
traveling.
Yeah, and I've noticed too, because I'm gluten-free for Hashimoto's, which we've talked about on the podcast, in my health condition, but I avoid gluten. Not that it makes me ill, but it's like having a detrimental effect on my thyroid, so I try and avoid it. But I use there's a gluten-free scanner app too that you
Yes.
can scan products even if it doesn't say gluten-free on it, just to see if there's gluten exposure. And also, if you go to a restaurant and you don't know if they have, like, it doesn't blatantly say gluten-free or ask for gluten-free, like, ask them. They usually might have something
Right.
for it. And then a lot of restaurants now are like, oh, do you want us to sanitize everything or
Oh, yeah.
clean stuff? And I said, for me, I'm like, no, that's not necessary. But for you, that is necessary.
Absolutely, yeah. Very necessary.
Yeah.
Even a little tablespoon, But nowadays, with having so many, like, taking the time to really heal the gut, when I do have it, it is not nearly the same that I used to have. So I used to be in the bathtub, just like in hot water, like that was the only thing that could calm my stomach pain and stop me from throwing up, because I'll like throw up constantly all night long if I get it. But nowadays it's like I can have it if I get, I say poisoned. If I get poisoned, it's not like the end of the world.
Right.
Yeah, I have a rough night. My stomach hurts a little bit, but honestly, you gave me something, I think it was like the wheat rescue, and that helps a lot. Like just downing water, and flushing your system, taking probiotics, and something that gets you moving it out of your system. Yeah, it helps. So.
Yeah, we just talked about toxins and making sure we're pooping and getting things out. I mean, back when you weren't pooping for 2 months, like that's a huge problem all around.
That's all around.
But we should be pooping every day for normal bodily functions and getting things out. How would you say having this diagnosis has impacted your life, and how are you using it now to help others?
Yeah, so before it impacted my job. For sure. I was a hairstylist at the time, so I'd have to either be running to the restroom or I wouldn't feel good. I would miss work all the time. People thought I was lazy. Literally, my old boss was like, oh, man, you always called in saying your stomach hurt, and I just thought you were lazy, So, it's affected a lot of things. It affected my confidence in a lot of ways, with myself, with my body. And so, moving forward from getting answers and connecting people like you, doctors like you that actually care and take the time to understand and not say, hey, it's all in your head, that has been a game changer. But not only that, it's like, you just need someone to be a champion for you that has gone through the process and who understands the lifestyle, because doctors can help you in one area. But for me, I help coach people kind of on their lifestyle. So get connected to Facebook groups, communities that you can ask questions and just feel like you're not alone in it.
Yeah.
Have a coach that can encourage you and say, hey, on your bad days, like that's okay. You're going to have some bad days, but these are some ways to make it better. Just being that kind of cheerleader, I guess, for them. So what I do now, from going through all the processes, I've gone to really low times when I was poisoned with shampoo and seen you, and no one could figure it out. Oh my gosh, that was the sickest I've ever been. And yeah, sickest I've ever been. And going through, a food sensitivity diet where, I eliminated pretty much everything: soy-free, dairy-free, gluten-free, egg-free, nut-free. Guys, I've done it all. Okay.
Yeah, you have.
So if you have a food sensitivity, I understand.
Yeah.
And I can definitely help you with that. But I use that to help coach people that are going through that same thing. So,
Yeah, and that's awesome.
they can't eat certain things, or they need help with getting fit,
Right.
Yeah.
Because food sensitivities are huge, and they're really hard to figure out unless you literally take everything out like you've done and then add things in one by one and see how your body reacts.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, okay, my body's not ready for that. My stomach hurt, or I got a rash, or I got a headache. Yeah. And then you're like, oh, okay, I can eat that again.
I can eat again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can eat all the foods that I kind of had issues with before. And I understand when I'm getting inflamed, I know what to do. So I know to come see you, get blood work, see where I'm at. What do I need to remove for a little bit, for a while, and then introduce it back in. But I also know when I'm like not taking my vitamins.
Oh, yeah.
I know what I'm messing up on. So I know how to get back to it. So that's the important part of it, is just like knowing how to help yourself, because there's so many natural things you can do.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to be on medicine.
No.
Usually,
Right. There's time and a place, but you can give your body what it needs to heal. And it wasn't overnight for you.
Was not overnight. It's definitely a process.
Yeah. And you're probably still aren't 100%, but you're a lot better than you were.
Yeah.
And you may go backwards a little bit, but you'll go back forward. And that's where healing isn't linear.
Exactly.
So you have to take one day at a time. And overall, you're moving in that right direction.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone out there is struggling with like these same symptoms, they're listening to this and like, oh my gosh, that's me. What's your best advice?
My best advice is, for one, definitely go see you, like a naturopath, for sure. Like, start there, get your blood work done, see your overall body, because when you go to just like your normal doctor, they only pinpoint one little thing. They really don't do a huge analysis of your entire body. So that's why I really, really push people, especially when they come see me for help. I always say, if you're struggling with this, go get your blood work done, because that's where you're going to see where you really need to focus on. And then let's check out your lifestyle. So lifestyle is like just really drinking a lot of water, getting your movement in. Make sure you take your micronutrients, your vitamins. Your micronutrients like helps heal, keep it healing, keep it moving. And especially if you're having leaky gut or gut problems, like you need to replenish yourself, because you're losing a lot of that. You're not absorbing it through your, intestines. And so, and then also your mindset. Your mind. Okay, so my doctors, I went to so many different specialists, hematologists, gastroenterologists, everyone. And so they all said the same thing. And they're like, Grace, where's your anxiety at? And they're like, because your anxiety will trigger your autoimmune, and your autoimmune. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense to me, because I'm triggered because I don't feel good. And when I don't feel good, I have anxiety, or I don't, I just am miserable. And they're like, it all connects.
Yep.
Your whole body connects. And I didn't understand that until this last year, when I really went through a lot of things that, first of all, COVID put us all in this mindset of slowing down and focusing on your mental health, and really seeing the gratitude in everything. And so that's when I started to focus on, meditation, mindfulness, and getting my mind right, that even when you're struggling through these problems, you have the power in you to remain peaceful and calm, and to just give yourself, compassion.
Right.
And so when I got that eliminated a lot of my stomach problems. And so now I understood, okay, now when I'm stressed out, when I go through stuff, I understand my stomach is starting to feel hurt. And so that's also kind of a mindset. So it's your whole body approach.
For sure. That's, well, there's the whole gut-brain connection.
Yeah.
So it plays a giant role. We make hormones in our gut too. So back to the whole, if your gut's not healthy, it's going to manifest elsewhere. So again, But what came first?
Yeah.
Was it the unhealthy gut causing the anxiety, or was it the anxiety causing the unhealthy gut?
That's the hard part.
That's
and I think a lot of it was anxiety. I started to notice that with all of the things I went through with food, I started to look at food in a relationship that it was almost like, people who are bulimic or anorexic that, what's the word for it? Having, oh my gosh, I can't think of the word.
Eating disorder?
Eating disorder.
Okay.
Yes.
I was like, that? You said the technical words.
I'm like,
the actual diagnoses.
The eating disorder.
Yeah.
I can't think. It must be the brain fog. No, I'm just kidding.
Could be.
But so it's kind of like an eating disorder, but not in that sense. So it's like looking at your food as, what's going to hurt me? It's going to hurt me. Like, what's the least amount of hurt I'm going to have? And I just I noticed that one day when I was out with friends, and we're sitting around a table and they're enjoying their food. And I'm like, I don't look at food like that. I look at it like, oh, I don't know what to have.
You're scared of it.
Yeah, I'm scared. And so then when I thought about that, I'm like, wow, I really need to change my mindset on that and look at it as like, this is a privilege. Like, I have so many options. They have so many ways to make food nowadays. Like, there's so many restaurants out there. I really do enjoy this. And that also eliminated a lot of that anxiety. So you tend to build relationships based off of trauma or things that you've gone through. And so I think that's a huge game changer as well.
Absolutely. Oh, that's such good advice. So tell people how, like, what's your new, or your coaching, you do the coaching business now. So tell us a little bit more about that. You kind of talked about it a little bit.
Yeah. So I do 12-week transformations. You can also do monthly. It's all virtual. So we do coaching calls. We go over, what are the foods that you can eat, that you like to eat. It's all about flexible dieting. And so I truly believe that you don't need to cut anything out. You need something that is sustainable. And how do you get sustainability off of, these huge crash diets that you might, lose all this weight really, really quickly, but is that healthy for you? No, it's not. You should lose maybe a pound or so a week. That's a healthy way. So it doesn't, cause more inflammation in your body, more problems in your hormones. I just kind of teach them how to do flexible dieting. Have everything you want, have it in portions, have it in the right amount for you that your individual body needs. And you'll see results. Like, it's not some crazy magic trick. It's consistency and having a coach that can guide you through that, as well as I give them workouts, and those workouts are different for each person. So if you have celiac disease or an autoimmune, you don't want to push your body to an extreme level where you're causing more inflammation or just wanting to crash afterwards. You need a good balance. So kind of help guide people through that too.
Yeah. Is it all one-to-one or is it group?
It's one-to-one.
One-to-one. And do you help with like macros, like carbs, protein, fat breakdowns? Yeah.
So macro breakdowns, help you do a meal plan. So I just give you kind of, I give you your macros, your calories that you eat. You can pick whatever you want to do. And then I give you kind of an example of what that could look like if you plug in those numbers with foods. Perfect. But you have the ability to change that or do whatever you like.
What are your favorite macro counting apps?
I do my Fitness Pal. Yeah, that one connects to my app, and so so that works best. So I can see everything you're eating and make sure you're actually doing what you're supposed to do. I'll know.
But that's so important, and I don't know if we've talked about it yet on the podcast, but it'll come up as the diet thing. It's like so many women come to me and they're like, "Oh, I did this diet and I lost weight." But then I gained it all back, and it's because it's you underate, and you're going to lose weight, but that's not sustainable.
It actually drops down your metabolism, your resting metabolism. So now that you just dropped all that weight, you've also slowed down your metabolism. So when you do eat again, which you will, normal, you're going to gain twice that back. So
I see it every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just that, I think it's just that narrative we've been told our entire lives, like the less we eat, the more we're going to lose.
Yeah, or the less carbs you eat, the more you'll lose. No, that's not right. Or, let's just cut all these things out and eat salads. Like, no, you can have your cookies. You can have, everything you like, but you just have imbalance.
Balance. And that's lifestyle. That's like a healthy habit.
Mindset, life, everything.
I'm guilty of eating pizza and
for
having
sure. I love
sweet
pizza.
treats and all of these things. Like, I don't eat perfect, but I eat healthy for the most part.
Yeah, and you can, teaching them to look at the back of the labels instead of the front, because the front lies. So the back.
With gluten.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So many times I've bought things and I'm like, oh yeah, this is good. And then I look in the back and I'm like, I forgot, man. I trusted that front label.
Or it's not even healthy.
Yeah.
Like the fake meats and the soy-free and dairy-free and sugar-free. Like, they're not technically free. They've got some of their filler in there.
Yes.
So that's where reading labels is so important.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I ask the same question to all my podcast guests. So what is your best or favorite health tip that you want to share with the audience?
Oh, my best and favorite. I kind of spoke about it a little bit. Is just consistency and balance. So consistency is showing up for yourself every day. whether you have a bad day and you totally just don't follow the plan, you know, pick back up tomorrow and keep going. Don't guilt trip yourself, because the guilt is what really gets people to stop, and they're like, forget about it. I don't want to do it anymore. I already failed. Like, you're not a failure. You do consistency over time, and you make changes over time. It's just like anything else. Baby steps is the way to go.
Yeah.
Don't go full force into some crazy, program, and then you set yourself up for failure. Like, do it baby steps.
Yep.
And then, having balance. So don't cut anything out that you love, just have it in moderation.
Right. My best thing with
water.
Cutting it. Yeah, water. Water can solve a lot of problems.
Lots of water.
But like with cutting things out, it's like, I don't want you to not eat bread. Like, maybe instead of having two pieces of bread, have one.
Yeah.
And then you're not cutting it out, we're just reducing it. So you don't have that many carbs, sugar, etc. So
right. You just have one.
Yeah.
It's very basic. Everyone wants the quick, easy way out, but honestly, those aren't the easy ways. I mean, it's just very basic stuff that people just want, quick changes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Grace, is there anything else that you want to add that we didn't talk about? You think that's important about your gut? Your poor little gut. That's
I would
a lot
say
healthier now.
Yeah, I would say one thing is, if you are suffering with food sensitivities or, celiac, change up your food often. Mm-hmm. That's something I learned from you. Yeah. Is like your body adapts to anything that you do. And so, switching up, if you have almond milk all the time, switch it up to coconut milk, to, rice milk, to whatever milk. Switch up the nuts you have, or the meats you have, just so you can, keep inflammation down.
Yep.
And that way you don't grow more food sensitivities. Yeah. And also come see you. Like, seriously, guys, she is
Get your labs
amazing.
done.
Get your labs done. I'm going to go see her literally next week. I still have to make that appointment, but I'm totally seeing you.
Awesome.
But yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course. Let people know where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me, GracieBFit on Instagram, Facebook, GracieBFit.com.
Is that where all your program or your coaching program is?
Yeah, yeah. And if you want to join in on the program, just message me on Instagram or visit my website and let me know.
Yes. And all of that will be linked in the show notes below. So again, I appreciate you being here so much.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure, and I know people gain value out of this. So again, share this with the world, tag us in it, and we will see you all next week.
Bye. Thanks.